Welcome to the Trading Lounge and the Indices report. And starting with the 10-year US notes, we've been looking at this market in terms of minute degree wave 1, a nice ABC for wave 2 here, and it appears that this is developing into a 5-wave structure here that we've been following. So we're looking for an A and a B and a C wave back into this area here roughly, and then a move up from there in terms of green wave 3 up here, and we've also got blue wave 3, so we should expect a reasonably strong move here. If this is the case, then it's, as I've mentioned before, it's going to place pressure on stocks, but I can see that the Nasdaq has got higher to push, and we're looking at the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 to push higher as well, so we may see the notes and the S&P doing the same thing. But that shouldn't last for too long. But let's see. The S&P 500 here. First of all, we've got 2 counts on here, as you know, and not that it makes any great difference at all, but originally we were tracking a triangle pattern through here, and then moving up from there. The other count that we have, of course, is an ABC here, and then up for 1 to this point and back for 2 here, and then moving up. So it doesn't really make much difference at all, really, but it will later because of the 5th wave, but it's something that we don't have to concern ourselves with at the moment. So our current primary count has been up for wave 1 here, and an A and a B and a C wave here for wave 2 here, and then pushing up for wave 1 and wave 2, and we'll have a closer look at that in a moment, and then up for wave 3 here. It may not pull all the way back here, but I must point out there is a gap here that the market will try to cover if it can, depending on what headline news is coming out, but there's not much in the next session that would concern the US S&P 500. Right, so just drilling in here a little bit further. If going according to plan, then the move up here appears to be in 5 waves, and we'll be looking for an A and a B and a C, and it can come back and cover that gap. It's nice if it does, really, because then you know that it's that event's finished and we can move on from that point. And if we're moving on, we'd be looking at a wave 3 up to around 2130, and would be looking for that in a 5-wave structure here, with a strong 3rd wave in the middle here. At the end of the day, in terms of trading, then, well, support on the 2100 here, a nice tested support on the 21 is the safe trade. Of course, you can move into it after an A and a B and a C and the gaps close out here, but you'd be at higher risk because you're under the closest largest number, so you would have a reduced position size to move in that area there, so you don't have to sweat it out, so to speak. Yeah, just in terms of detail and tracking that to the upside, we were looking for 5 waves down for wave C here, and then yeah, looking for 5 waves up. Now, it appears that we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and then 3 over to here, and 4 to here, and then 5 to here. Now, I was a little bit unsure about this. We may actually get one more little high in here because of a little pattern in here, but we'd still look for this ABC correction. Even if we made a new high here, we'd still want to see some type of correction across the 2100 here. We'll look at the Dow Jones now. So the Dow Jones, now, as I mentioned yesterday, was a little bit different because the S&P 500, we had this as the A wave here, a B wave in 3 waves, because on the S&P 500 that was the high, and then we looked at wave 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in here. With this market, it finishes off with 1, 2, 3, 4, even though it's got overlapping wave structures here, and wave 5 here being the high here. So I'd have to label that wave 1. But so we have a difference between the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. We've had this earlier on, and I can't work out which one is going to be correct or not correct. It looks like the S&P is correct, but I won't be able to confirm that until this high is taken out here. So as it stands at the moment, we have a 5-wave sequence down through here. So I've just attempted to put this as the A wave, and it can be a B wave back up here, and then a C wave, and then moving up from that area through there. As it counts at the moment up through here, I've spent a little bit of time and put detail in here, we'll have a look at that in a moment. It does appear to be 5 waves moving up here, so we should just look back at an A and a B and a C here. And the point is, in terms of trading, if it trades back below the 18,000 here, that's kind of what you want really, because what it does, it tests deeper in the depth to see if there's demand there, and if that's the case, then it will push back up and sit on the 18,000, and that's where you can start building a trade in on each level through here. Just for the detail though, I've labelled this the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 to this point here, and I feel that that is correct. So the A wave is underway at the moment. The 50-60% is back around 17,900. So we'll have time to investigate that as it pulls back. In terms of detail, we were looking yesterday at this market being wave 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4, and then 5. So wave 1 here, wave 2 here, and then we've got 1 and 2, 3, 4. So it does overlap a little bit. 4 and 5 to here, so the third wave to here, an A and a B and a C for wave 4. That's pretty clean and tidy. And then we're looking up here for wave 1 and 2 here, and then I've got wave 3 here, but I haven't really pulled this apart here, so I don't know if that's correct. I mean, wave 3 could be up at this point here, but the way that the reason I've labelled it this wave 4 is because at least wave 4 compared to wave 2 here is larger and does its job. So and then wave 5 up through to here. So I was kind of looking at and yeah, so I'm not quite sure about that. So what that actually means is that there can be a new high in here before this is actually resolved. Sorry about this. I'm just putting this to where it should be. So in a way, we have a classic trading levels pattern here in terms of the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level to finish wave 5 off, and then the ABC correction. But as it stands here, even when I sort of count this here in detail here, we still have 5 waves down through here. Yeah, so we're still looking at an A and a B wave pulling back into this sort of area, or even just below that, and then wave C moving in down through here. So yeah, just be sort of a little bit mindful that it's not quite set up yet, but the best setup would be for this market, as I mentioned, to move below the 18,000 after it retests the 50-60% retracement level here. If it moves below the 18,000 and then moves back above it, it has to move down reasonably well and then find support, then that's your trade. Otherwise, we would be looking for, if there was an extra wave in there, we'd be looking for that extra wave to be in there, then the A, the B and the C here, and it would only come back to 18,000 at that point, and then work higher from that area there. So you would be working, instead of working with 18,000, you'd be working with 18,100 and looking for this high here after it's tested above here, after a nice clean counter trend here. Now the European markets, the DAX, now we're looking at this as a wave 4 correction here, but we have to be a little bit careful that we don't have a top in here already, but it does appear to be an expanded flat, which we would have as an A wave here, a B wave here, and a C wave here, taking the A wave out here. The idea for wave C here is we're looking for 5 waves in here, and then a move up from that area. But we also have to, as I mentioned, we can have a top in here. Realistically, we can have wave 5 sitting at this high here, and this wave 4, as I mentioned before, sitting tucked in here. It does leave us a little bit sort of short as a 5th wave, but not all markets top or bottom correctly. But as it stands, we're looking for this situation here with 5 waves in it, as wave C, and then moving up from that point. But as I just mentioned, that this top can be in play here, so that would also have 5 waves here, then it will have an A and a B and a C, and then it would have a move down. So it will be this junction here that will be critical, but we should be able to pick up the lead on this of what it's going to do before that. But the primary count is that this is wave 4, and we've been looking at wave C coming into play. So I've got this as an alternative count here, but what I mean by that alternative count, it's really got to do with this move coming down through here. So originally I was looking at wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and then wave 5 bouncing off the 11,500, and that's still, even though I've got it as an alternative count, it's still a very strong, powerful count that can occur. But if the Dow Jones is going to push higher with the S&P 500 and so forth, all push higher, then we're going to go straight up from here. And it does count also with 5 waves down now already completed. This is still the count as the alternative count here, but I'll just find this other count here, which is this one. So in this particular count here, this is the primary count that I've got so far. And yeah, well, first of all, the 5 waves down becomes wave 1 here, wave 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for wave 3, back for wave 4, and then 5 waves down here for wave 5. And I'm quite sort of happy with that, and also happy with it too, because this appears to be an impulse wave starting up through here. And if that's the case, we should get a short retest of 11,800 as a wave 2, and then moving up from that point there. Now, you know, I think the long trade would come in on 11,900 here after we've had a bit of a retest here, because remember that the other count is that having this as wave 4 here, moving back up to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree, which would be the 12,000, or the 38.2 retracement levels, actually a little bit lower, which I have in here somewhere, which is actually here at the moment. So the 38.2 retracement level comes in, so it's kind of done its thing in a way already, but I can count this up here as 5 waves. So that being the case, we'd have to look for an ABC back, and then another 5 up, which will take it way past the 38.2 retracement level, which is still sort of okay, because wave 4 normally pulls back to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree, and that's here. So there are 2 counts here, so I would imagine that to be very sort of clean and clear about it, support on the 12,000 of course would be in a nice tested support on 12,000 would be the safe long trade at that point there. So only scalping up until that point, because if we got support on 12,000, then we can be looking at taking out the highs. So that brings us back to say wave B here would be taking out the highs here. So that support on the 12,000 here gives us a nice little run up to 12.5 at that point, but that needs to be confirmed. So we've got to get past this wave 4 in one way or another, and that may just take a little bit of time. So yeah, let me just drill in here. This is how I've counted this up through here, just by the by, from the low here, which can be wave 5 or the alternative wave 3 here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 as wave 1 and wave 2 here. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for wave 3 or 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the fifth wave here. So the A wave here, an A and a B and a C for wave B. So we've got an A and a B. So it doesn't have to pull all the way back down to the 50-60% mark here. It's already sort of here. So perhaps when we take that high and that low there, going back up 50% there and finding the balance line, once that market sits on that balance line, then it's going to be moving up to 12,000 from that point. So you'd have a short-term scalp trade from that point. The FTSE, okay, so this is what we were sort of looking at from the top here. Needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but basically we were looking for wave A to the downside, which we can place there. We can put wave B there, and we're looking for wave C to come down through here. Of course, if the other markets are going to push up, then it'll be very tempting for this market to push up, and it has sat on 7,000, which is obviously a very strong number. So it may just find support and move up from there, but the 50-60% retracement levels at 69 here after these 5 waves here. So it's possible that we just get a small correction and we can move up, but the count so far appears that we do have 5 waves down here. It looks like 3 waves, but I've pulled it apart and it counts as 5 waves quite nicely. So that means that we would get a B wave back up into the supply zone here, where all those open and closes are there. That's where the most volume would be traded out, and also be roughly the 61.8 retracement level. So let's see how we go with that. So I was looking at this is down for the A wave here, and then the B wave up here, and then looking for the C wave down through to here. And that's fine in terms of the count. I'm quite happy with that, but the problem is that if the US markets and the DAX are going to push up, then this market's going to push up with them. That's the other thing there as well. So yeah, a little bit tricky, but this is the way that I've counted it here in terms of the rally, in terms of an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then down for 1, A, B, C, back for 2. Yeah, I can see this doesn't want to move down any further, and if it finds support on the midpoint here, the 70.50, then we'll be going up from that stage there. But this little move here is in 3 waves, so technically we should take that low out through here. This is it here, so wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. So that also gives us 5 waves coming down this side. So we should pull back in 3 waves, like an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave as it's done. And then we've got 1, 2. Let me just draw this out here. So we've got 1 and 2 here, and then we've got the third wave here with 5 waves in it. The 1, the 2, 3, the 4 and the 5 here, and the 4th and the 5th. So we do have a 5 wave structure here, and we do have a 3 wave structure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could also call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'd pull back up 50 or 60% of this move here, and then move down. That's how I see it. That's how it should move. Yeah, we'll see. But a nice tested support on the 70.50 would be at a point where I'd be wrong, and you would need to be long from that, because you need to be, once you've got tested support, see this made a high here and came back and tested it and failed, so it'll be that reference point that you go long on, or even the second one or the third one. And the same with here as well. You may have gone long in here, but if it broke through the support, then you'd be out. But once again, a reference point is here, and you take that high or this high. So it's the same thing over here as well. Once you've got your reference point, if we moved up here like this for a long trade here, and we had a little sort of correction here, then that's your reference point, or you can take the second one down if you get support here as such. But as it stands, there's potential for this to move down through here. While we're on the European thing, I should have just pulled into the Nasdaq here actually, because on the Nasdaq here we've got well, wave 4 here, which is pretty clean and clear in terms of an A and a B and a C, and then we've got wave 1 and 2 all the way up to wave 3 here. Wave 4 is a bit sad, it came back and overlapped wave 1 somewhat here, so we know that it's not a strong move to the upside, and if the extension's in wave 3 here, then wave 1 here and wave 5 will be roughly the same, so we shouldn't expect it to go too far, but it's certainly got a little move up here that's positive with an A and a B and a C here, and like the S&P 500 and so forth should move up here, and that places the stock Apple. We've been looking at this as wave 4 as before, and it can move higher for one more move up through here, but to confirm that we would need a good solid tested support intraday on 125, or to confirm the uptrend we need to take that high out here, because as it stands at the moment, this here, if I can just blow that up a little bit here, as it stands at the moment, this counts quite nicely as an A. Well, that can be an A and a B and a C and finish there, but it can also just be the A wave and then an A and a B and a C wave to here with 5 waves in it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to here, and then we can have our C wave down through here in 5 waves. So it would have to take that high out here of this wave here to confirm. So a breakout of that would put you on the long side, but so just be careful about that. So that would be the catalyst for that, and this is the Nasdaq, and that looks like it's got to move up further as well. So all positive there. I should have brought that in with the S&P 500 lot, but there you go. The Australian market. So we've been working through. We've had a simple wave 2 here, and the guideline of alternation in nature would have wave 2 simple, wave 4 complex. If wave 2 was complex, then wave 4 would be simple. That's just how the wave structure works. It's simple, complex, more complex, or simple, corrective impulse. So it's always working like that. So you never see what you see previously is never what you get next. So we've got this, so next we'll see a trend. Obviously, I know that, but it's just a simple point that's always worth pondering. Now, so we have a corrective pattern here that's complicated. Now I've simplified it as best I can in terms of an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave in 5 waves. Okay, now it also can be a triangle pattern here as well, with an A wave to here, B, C, D and E here as well. That's valid as well, not that it also makes a lot of difference at this stage, okay, because we've got a simple wave A, complex B and a simple C. So once again, simple, complex and simple. So that's what we're looking at, and we're looking at 5 waves down through here for the C wave. Once that's complete, then we can look to the upside here. So with that in mind, this is how I've pathed it out so far in terms of, well, that should, oh, that's correct, yeah, sorry, an A wave to here, an A and a B and a C for the B wave here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 here. So we're still looking for another low. Let's drill into this 5 wave structure here, because this is the important bit. So if it was a triangle, let's just say that it was, then each wave within the triangle would be 3 waves. So that means that the wave C that we're looking at here would only be in 3 waves. It would be an A wave to here, a B wave to here, and then 5 waves in the little C wave here. So as a triangle, that could be completed and we could move up from that point. Okay, now if that was the case, then we would want to confirm that, and finding support on 5,900 would be the confirmation, the catalyst to trade higher from that point. But as it stands at the moment, we need to be careful about this being a wave 4, green wave 4 here. So 5 waves down for wave 1, which is really over here, not that it matters too much, and wave 2 over here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 here, and we're looking for the wave 4 rally. So that wave 4 rally, yesterday we were looking at wave 3 being in here and wave 4 pulling back and then wave 5 making a new low. It was rather short, but it did the trick. Okay, so that makes wave 3, but the alternative would be wave C, but wave C would only come into play if we get support on 5.9. So as it stands, we need to be mindful that this wave 3 here can see wave 4 here at the 38.2 retracement level, basically where it is now. So yeah, it can move lower from here. So the long trade here would be, well, buy any strength that you can see. Tuesday morning can normally be profit taking with the trend resuming in the afternoon somewhat. Only small. Wednesday's the same case, but bigger swings. So yeah, so just drilling into this here somewhat. So yesterday we were here, so we were looking for wave 4 that could pull back to wave 4 of one lesser degree, which it did, and then wave 5. So we had these sharp 5 waves down here completing and making that. So that's either wave 3 or C here. So this particular move up here, I can count it impulsive, I can count it corrective. Yeah, it's still a little bit early yet, so as it counts, it can be wave 1 to here, ABC here for wave 2, or the B wave, and then 5 waves up for 3, 4 and 5 here. So if I had to take a guess and come back and get this other chart here, this is the 50-60% retracement level, so we can get from here, we can get this occurring from here, but we also need to work out, I mean, this can be corrective here. We don't have any overlapping wave structures, so I can't say that it's only corrective. It's still at a very small stage here. We can get an impulse, 5 waves out of this. Yeah, so we just got to kind of give it another session before we can before I can sort of lock it into one or the other here. So all I can say at the moment is that 5.9 is support, then it's moved too far up as a wave 4. So yeah, and it's obviously that we will push up today because the other market's quite strong. Yeah, so we may see this market just move. The other count for this too, of course, is that this can be we had this as wave 1 here and wave 2 here. That's fine. The next section can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to here, and then that can be the A wave, the B wave, and 5 waves for the C wave here, and then we get our ABC correction. So be careful at 5.9. If we get support on 80, sure, trade up to 97 or 95 or something, you know, here into the 5.9, but that's where it can fail from that point there. So yeah, we need to be on the other side of that, unless we do get this correction here pulling back in 3 waves, then we know from that point. But yeah, yeah, not very clear, unfortunately, not just yet anyway, but plenty of time, because if this market's going to move up here, say on this 4-hour chart here, then we'll be looking for these highs to be taken out, and we'll be looking at 6.2 up here. So it's not a lot to wait to find out what we've actually got here. Do you know what I mean? So if we get 5.9 as support, that can take you all the way up to 6.2. So I think it's a good trade. We just need to work out if we're going to get this as a wave 4 here, then a wave 5 here. So the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4 and the 5, and if we get that, then we can start building from the upside from that point there. So just a little bit more time on that one. That's it. Alright, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.